Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, we'll learn about the automatic batch determination process in SAP MM. We'll talk about how SAP MM decides which batch of material is to be issued first if you have inventory for a material in multiple batches. We'll explore the different stock removal strategies, that is first in, first out, last in, first out, and first expire, first out, and see how these strategies are applied through batch determination. This video will cover the detailed explanation of the automatic batch determination process and will also see the configuration behind this particular activity. So let's start. So first of all, let's discuss what is batch determination. So in SAP MM, batch determination for goods issue streamlines the process of selecting appropriate batches when materials are withdrawn from inventory. Let's say that you have a material which is managed in batches and the inventory of that material is spread across various batches. Now, whenever you will be issuing the material, you need to determine which batch of the material you need to issue first. That is the sequence in which you should select the batches from which the material is to be issued. And this sequence you can automate in SAP through batch determination process. And for doing this activity of batch determination, you will require a predefined strategy for suggesting suitable batch during the goods issue process. And you can see here some of the common predefined strategies used in real business scenarios are FIFO, that is first in, first out, LIFO, that is last in, first out, and FEFO, that is first expire, first out. In first in, first out, what you do, the material that you received first will be issued first. Okay. In last in, first out, the material which you received last will be issued first. And in the first expire, first out method, the material which is going to expire first will be issued first. So we'll see all these three strategies in action and we'll see how we can design these strategies in SAP so that system does the batch determination process automatically for each of these strategies. So first, let's understand all of these three strategies through an example. Let's say that you have a material code M001. This material code has a minimum remaining shelf life of 10 days and the current date on which we are doing this batch determination is 14th of August 2025. Now we already have covered the shelf life material process on our channel in detail. If you haven't seen the video on that topic, then I have kept the link in the description. You can check there. In that video, we have discussed in detail what is a shelf life material, what is minimum remaining shelf life, total shelf life, and what is shelf life expiration date. So if you haven't watched that video, then I'll highly recommend you to watch that video so that you get a clear understanding on the shelf life material processing in SAP MM. So now let's get back to this example. So you can see here for this material, we have received stock in these three batches at different posting dates. So you can see batch 1 was received on 1st of August with a GR quantity of 10 and the shelf life expiry date for this batch is 30th of August 2025. For batch 2, the GR quantity is 20, the posting date is 5th of August and the shelf life expiry date is 30th of September. And for batch 3, the GR quantity is 15 with GR posting date as 10th of August and shelf life expiry date as 15th of September. So you can see we have received material in three batches across various posting dates and with various shelf life expiry date. Now, all these three batches have different days to expire. That is, number of days in which this particular batch will expire. And this gets determined through the shelf life expiry date and the current date. So the difference between these two dates, that is shelf life expiry date and current date, is your days to expire. So for batch 1, you can see you have 16 days to expire. For batch 2, it is 47 days. And for batch 3, it is 32 days. So you can see we have these three batches and the total quantity is 45. Okay. Now let's say that you want to issue 30 quantity out of these three batches. So based upon various strategies, system will determine from which batch the material is going to be issued. So now let's see all these three strategies. So now let's see how batch determination will happen for all these three strategies. That is first in, first out, last in, first out, and first expire, first out. So let's see for first in, first out what will happen. As you can see, system will arrange these batches as per the latest GR posting date. That is the date on which the material was received. Based on that date, system will sort the batches and then will pick batches as per this sorting. So basically, system will sort the batches based on the latest GR posting date in ascending order. And the material which was received first will be issued first and then so on. Then let's see what will happen in last in first out. In this case, system will sort the batches based on the latest GR posting date in descending manner. So you can see here, this is how system will determine the batches for last in first out. Now let's see what will happen for first expiry first out. In this case, system will not sort on the basis of GR posting date. System will do the sorting based on the shelf life expiry date. You can see here, system will sort based on shelf life expiry date in ascending manner. So the material which is going to expire first will be issued first. You can see here, this batch has the earliest expiry date. So this batch will be issued first, and then this batch, and then this batch. So in this way, you can see for all these three strategies, you will have different batch determination happening in the system. But let's say that before doing this sorting process, you want to do a selection process also. Let's say that the person who is issuing the material tells you that he does not want any batch to be issued which is going to expire in the next 30 days. That is, any batch which has days to expire less than 30 days, the user is not going to issue that. So how we can address this requirement? So you can see here, we have a selection criteria that the days to expire should be greater than or equal to 30. Let's say that the plant manager tells you that is not going to issue any material which will expire in the next 30 days. So in that case, what we'll have to do, we'll have to exclude the batches which have days to expire less than 30 days from our batch determination. So before sorting the batches based on these three strategies, first what we'll have to do is we'll have to remove the batch which do not meet our selection criteria. And in this way, you can see in all these three cases, batch 1 will be removed from the selection. Why? Because for batch 1, the days to expire is 16 days, which is less than 30 days. So we cannot issue materials from batch 1. So before sorting based on these three strategies, system will remove this batch from the determination process. So you can see we have two activities. First, we have to select the batches from which the goods issue has to happen, and then we have to sort the batches based on the relevant strategy. So now if you have to issue 30 quantity, then for all these three strategies, batch 1 will not be considered and system will post quantities from batch 2 and batch 3 only based on the sorting that has happened for all of these three strategies. So you can see here, for first in first out strategy, system will first post 20 quantity from batch 2 as it has a stock of 20 quantity, and then remaining 10 will be issued from batch 3. Then for last in first out, first system will post from batch 3 which has a stock of 15 quantity, so it will post 15 quantity from this batch, and remaining 15 it will post from batch 2. Then for first expire first out, it will post 15 quantity from batch 3 which is going to expire first, and then remaining 15 it will post from batch 2. So you can see here, based on the selection criteria and the sorting method, system determines in which sequence the batch is to be considered for posting goods issue. So two things we have learned here. First is the selection criteria, that is the criteria on which you have to select the batches from which goods issue has to happen. After the selection criteria is met, then you have to sort the remaining batches based on the strategy that you are going to use. So you can see here, we had two things. One was the selection criteria, that is days to expire should be greater than equal to 30, and then we had sorting methods based on FIFO, LIFO and FEFO. So we need to design these two things in SAP. So to design these entities, for selection criteria, we have selection class. So we'll have to create a selection class wherein we'll assign multiple characteristics based on which system will do this selection process. And for sorting method, we have something called as sort rule. The T code for creation of this selection class is CL01, and the T code to create this sort rule is CU70. So the first activity that we have to do is we have to create a selection class through which the batches will be selected, and then we have to create a sort rule through which the batches will be sorted. And to save these two entities in SAP, we have something called as strategy type. This is the most important entity in the batch determination process. This strategy type contains the selection class and the sort rule. And this strategy type is defined through configuration, and the T code is OMCW. This strategy type will basically tell the system that what kind of batch determination is to happen. That is, what selection of batches is to be done, and then after the selection is done, how those batches are to be sorted. Okay, so now that we have understood the concept of the strategy type, we need to ask two questions. One is, for which movement types this strategy type is to be triggered, and which strategy has to be triggered when you are posting this movement type. That is, currently we are talking about goods issue. So the strategy type has to be triggered for the specific goods issue movement types. And once the strategy type is triggered, then system needs to determine which strategy type system has to apply. That is, let's say that a material is there in a plant which is to be issued on FIFO basis. Then system has to understand that for issue of that material, system has to apply the FIFO method. Let's say that the same material in another plant is being issued on LIFO method. Then system has to understand that also, that for this plant this material will be issued on LIFO method. Let's say that there are two materials, one is being issued at first in first out and another one is being issued at last in first out. So for these two materials, system has to automatically understand and apply the appropriate strategy. So these two things we need to configure in the system. That is, for which movement types this batch determination has to happen and what strategy is to be applied for this batch determination to happen. So now let's understand how this strategy type is configured and how we save something called as the condition records for applying these strategies. So this technique of determining the appropriate strategy type is similar to the pricing technique that we use in purchasing. That is, in purchasing, we use something called as pricing procedure, condition type, access sequence, and condition tables, and we maintain condition records for the condition types. Similarly, here in the batch determination process, we will use the same method and we'll determine the strategy type. So this configuration starts with a condition table. Basically, we'll create tables containing multiple fields of your material document. Let's say that you're posting goods issue for a material in a particular plant. So how you will save the particular strategy type against that material and plant combination? So for that, you need to first define the tables which will contain these fields, that is material, plant, movement type, and so on. So first you need to define a condition table, and you can see these condition tables contains field or combination of multiple fields. You can see here you can create a condition table containing only one field, that is the material code, or you can create a condition table containing two fields, that is material and plant, or you can create a condition table containing three fields, that is material code, plant, and movement type, and so on. So depending upon how many fields you want to configure, you can create condition tables for combination of such fields. Now once you have created this table, then you will create something called as access sequence. This access sequence will actually tell the system that which table is to be called while determining the strategy type. Okay, let's say that you have maintained strategy type for material also and material and plant combination also. So how system will decide that which condition record has to be taken into account? So for that, you have something called as access sequence. This access sequence will actually contain a hierarchy of these condition tables. So system will start searching and then go down till a condition record is found. So this access sequence will tell in which sequence these tables are to be read. Okay, and this access sequence you will maintain in your strategy type. Now this strategy type contains your selection class and sort rule. As we discussed earlier, we need selection class and sort rule to determine the batches, and for determining this selection class and sort rule, we need to enter condition records in this strategy type. So this strategy type will contain this access sequence which contains this condition table. So whenever you will try to maintain records for strategy type, system will give you options of all these tables against which you can maintain the records. Then let's say that in your plant you want to apply multiple strategies. As we saw, we have multiple strategies like FIFO, LIFO, or FEFO. Let's say that you have created strategy type for all these methods. Then how you can save all these methods in one entity? So to save all these methods in one entity, you have something called as batch search procedure. In this batch search procedure, you can maintain multiple strategy types. And then this batch search procedure, you will assign to the movement type. This is most important step, that this search procedure you will assign to the movement type, and then you will activate the batch check. So you can see this connection will actually tell the system that for which movement type the batch determination has to happen. And once this batch search procedure is determined, the strategy type will get determined from this batch search procedure. And against this strategy type, you will maintain something called as condition records. Let's say that for a material and plant combination, you want FIFO strategy to happen during goods issue. So how you can tell the system? To tell the system, you need to maintain condition records against the strategy type. That is, you need to maintain the selection class and sort rule for your material and plant combination. Let's say that you have a material, plant and movement type combination. Then also for combination of these three fields, you need to tell the system that which strategy type is to be determined. So once this configuration is done, as you can see on the screen, then you need to maintain condition record. Okay. And this condition record again will be maintained against the combination of these tables. So let's say that you have a material, plant and movement type combination. Then for this combination, you will maintain the condition record for the strategy type, where you will enter selection class and sort rule. So let's say that for a particular material, plant and movement type combination, you want FIFO strategy to happen. Then you will maintain the condition record for the strategy type. And there you will tell the system that for this material, plant and movement type combination, you have to use the FIFO method. Okay, we'll see in SAP how this configuration is done, how we maintain the condition record, and then how the particular strategy is triggered during goods issue. So you can see on the screen here, for condition table, the T code is OMA1. For access sequence, the T code is OMCX. For strategy type configuration, the T code is OMCW. Then for batch search procedure, the T code is OMCY. And then finally, for assigning this batch search procedure to movement type and activating batch check, the T code is OMCG. And finally, to maintain the condition record against this strategy type, the T code is MBC1. You can correlate this whole process with the pricing technique that we use in purchasing, that how we determine the condition record for a condition type. There also we have condition tables and access sequence. In purchasing, in place of strategy type, we have condition types. Okay, so the strategy type is basically similar to the condition type that we use in pricing. Then in the pricing, you have something called as pricing procedure, which contains combination of condition types. Here in place of pricing procedure, you have batch search procedure. And similarly in pricing, where you maintain condition record against a condition type, here we'll maintain condition record against the strategy type. Okay, so the central element in this whole batch determination procedure is the strategy type, which contains the selection class and the sort rule. So now let's see what all steps you will need to do for doing this batch determination. So this whole batch determination will heavily use the concept of class and characteristics. You will be required to create classes and assign characteristics to them, and based on these class and characteristic combination, system will determine the batches during goods issue process. So the first class that you need to create is the batch class for your material. That is, in your material code, you will enter a batch class. This batch class will contain these two characteristics, that is last date of goods receipt and expiration date shelf life, that is shelf life expiration date. SAP has provided standard characteristics for all these fields. So for last date of goods receipt, the standard characteristic is LOBM underscore LWEDT. For expiration date shelf life, it is LOBM underscore VFDAT. Now once you have created this batch class, then you will have to create the batch selection class, that is the class through which the selection of batches will happen. And here you will enter the characteristics based on which you have to do the selection. So we'll enter here remaining shelf life for batch. The standard characteristic is LOBM underscore RLZ. Then expiration date shelf life. The characteristic is LOBM underscore VFDAT, and then batch determination delivery date. The standard characteristic is LOBM underscore LFDAT. Now once you have created these two classes, then you need to create the sort sequence, that is the sequence in which the batches are to be sorted. Now the T code for creation of classes are CL01. And once you have created these two classes, then you will need to create the sort sequence. That is the sequence in which the batches are to be sorted. The T code will be CU70, and here you will use these two characteristics, that is last date of goods receipt and expiration date shelf life. For FIFO and LIFO method, you will use this characteristic, that is last date of goods receipt, and you will use ascending for FIFO method and descending for LIFO method. Then for first expiry first out, you will use this expiration date shelf life and you will use the ascending method. In certain rare cases, you also use last expiry. In that case, you will have to use the descending method. Now, once you have created the batch class for material, batch selection class and sort sequence, then you need to create the material code and assign the batch class. And here you will also mark the material for batch management. And you will assign the class that you created here in the first step to this particular material master. Then you will create the condition record through T code MBC1. This condition record can be created against combination of multiple fields for which you have created the condition tables and stored in the access sequence. Then we'll post GRs with multiple GR posting date and shelf life expiration date through transaction Migo. And then finally we'll post goods issue and see how automatic batch determination takes place. And this activity also will be doing in the Migo transaction. So these are the steps that needs to be done. Before doing this step, that is creating condition record, you must have the configuration in place, which we discussed in the previous slide. Initially, I'll use the standard configurations only and I'll show you how batch determination takes place. Then we'll do some custom configuration and we'll create certain strategy types and a batch search procedure. And then we'll see how we can use multiple strategies under one batch search procedure only. So now let's move on to SAP and see everything in action. So now let's see in SAP how we can configure this batch determination and how we can perform this batch determination during goods issue. So we'll start with the configuration, then we'll create the master data, and then finally we'll do the transactions. So to go to the configuration, we'll go to SPRO, SAP reference IMG, Logistics General, Batch Management, and here you can see we have batch determination and batch check. So we'll go to this link. And you can see all these 5 steps that we discussed previously on this video is given here. That is the condition tables, access sequences, strategy types, batch search procedure definition, and batch search procedure allocation and check activation. So we'll see all these configurations one by one. First, we'll see the standard configuration and we'll do our transactions based on the standard configuration. Then we'll create some custom configurations and then see that also in action. So the first configuration which is there is the condition tables. So if you go here, you can see you can define condition table for various transactions. That is for inventory management, production order, process order, sales and distribution, and warehouse management. So currently we are discussing for inventory management. So we'll go to this link. And you can see here we have options to create, change and display. So let's go to the display condition table. And here if you take a drop down, you can see in standard SAP you have these many tables created. So all these tables basically contain fields from your material document against which you will maintain the condition records for the strategy types. So if you go to any of these tables, let's go to this table number 20. So if I double click here and if we press enter, you can see the selected fields is the movement type, and this is the list of field which is available in the field catalog. So all these fields we can combine together to create a table, and in this table we only have used this particular field, that is the movement type. If we go back and again if we take a drop down, if we go to this table number 24, if I double click here and press enter, you can see these 3 fields have been used to create this table. So we have movement type, plant and material. So you can create as many tables as you want based on combination of all the fields which are there in the field catalog. And then you can maintain condition records against the combination of these fields using these tables here. Now, once we have defined the table, the next step is to define the access sequence. So we'll go back. And if you see here, we have link for access sequence. So let's expand this. And here also you can see you can define access sequence for all work areas. That is for different modules. So we'll go to this link here, that is define inventory management access sequence. And you can see these are the access sequences that has been created in the system. We'll select this access sequence and we have to double click on this accesses folder here. So let's double click here. And you can see this access sequence contains these tables, and all these tables have been arranged in this hierarchy. So you have an access number and the table. Now these are the table which were created by combining multiple fields, and all these tables we have arranged under this access sequence in this particular fashion. So let's say that you have maintained a condition record for the strategy type against movement type, plant and material combination, and also against plant and material combination. So how system will pick the strategy type? In that case, system will start searching from top to bottom. So if a condition record is found at number 10 itself, then system will not consider the condition record at number 20. So in this way, if you maintain condition records against multiple tables, then this access sequence will actually tell the system that which condition record, that is which strategy type, is to be picked by the system. Okay, so this is the access sequence. And if you want to verify the fields which are there in this table, then you can select here and double click on the fields folder. And you can see here, these are the fields which were entered in the table, and these will be mapped to your material document fields. So now we have seen the condition table and the access sequence. Now we'll go back. And the next step is to define the strategy type. You can see here, after condition tables and access sequences, we have strategy types. This is the central element which will contain your selection class and your sorting rule. So we'll go to this link. And again, you have strategy types for all these modules. So we'll go to this define inventory management strategy types. And you can see there are two strategy types which are shown in the system. Now to see the details of these strategy types, we'll have to double click this, or we can click on this icon. So let's double click on this ME01. So here you see we maintain the central data which is required for batch determination, and that is the selection class and the sort sequence. So as we discussed earlier, against a strategy type, you will maintain the selection class and the sort sequence, and this strategy type only contains the access sequence also. So in this way, the strategy type is connected to the access sequence, which has the condition tables, and this condition type or the strategy type will contain the selection class. Now you can see here that the selection class and the sort sequence have been kept as blank in this particular strategy type. Now you have two options available here. Either you can maintain the selection class and sort sequence against this strategy type in the configuration here itself, or you can maintain these two entities in the condition record also. Let's say that you want to create a generic strategy type. That is a type which will be used by the end user, and while maintaining the condition record, and there the end user will maintain the selection class and sort sequence in the condition record of the strategy type. But let's say that you do not want the end user to maintain these details. That is, you want to create a specific strategy type which will have its own selection class and sorting sequence, and from there the batch determination will take place. Then you have to enter this selection class and sort sequence in the configuration here itself. Okay, so you have both these options. Either you can maintain the selection class and sort sequence in this configuration, or you can maintain these things in the condition record. So currently we'll not maintain anything here. We'll maintain in the condition record. When we'll create our own custom strategy type, there we'll maintain the selection class and sort sequence and see how this works. Now let's go back. And the next step will be to create the batch search procedure. This is similar to the pricing procedure which we use in the pricing technique in purchasing. So let's go to this link. And again, you can define the batch search procedure for all these modules. So we'll go to define inventory management search procedure. And here you can see we have the standard search procedure available in the system. To assign the strategy type to this procedure, we'll have to select this and double click on this control data folder. And you can see one strategy type has been defined in this particular standard search procedure. So whenever this search procedure will be called, this strategy type will be called by the system as per this configuration here. Okay, so in this way, we connect the strategy type, that is the condition type, to the batch search procedure. Now let's go back. And the final step will be to assign the batch search procedure to your movement type and to activate the batch check. So you have this link for batch search procedure allocation and check activation. So let's expand this, and you have to go to this link here, that is allocate IM search procedure / activate check. So we'll go to this link. And here you can see you have movement type and the search procedure that you have to attach to this movement type. And you can see for movement type 201, our batch search procedure has been assigned. So whenever you will post a goods issue through movement type 201, system will pick this search procedure. This search procedure has the strategy type, and from the strategy type, the selection class and the sorting rule will be determined from the condition records. So this is the whole configuration of batch determination. And you can see we have a checkbox also here which says check batch. Now, what is the significance of this checkbox? Let's say that when you are posting this 201 movement type, you manually enter a batch there, and that batch is not satisfying the batch determination requirement. Let's say that you are following the first in first out strategy and you have this batch determination in place, and you are entering a batch which does not satisfy this first in first out strategy requirements. So in that case, if you have this checkbox activated here, then system will not allow you to post the goods issue. So batch determination will determine the batches as per the strategy. But if you manually enter a batch in the MeGo screen while posting the goods issue, then this checkbox will prevent you to post the goods issue if the batch you have entered is not complying to the batch determination requirements. So you can see here we have assigned the movement type to the batch search procedure and we have activated the batch check. So we have discussed all these configurations, that is condition tables, access sequences, strategy types, batch search procedure definition, and batch search procedure allocation and check activation. Now you can go to all these configurations through this SPRO tree, or you can go to the T codes also for these configurations. So let's see that also. So to go to the condition table, you have T code OMA1. So this is for creation of condition table. For display, you can go to OMA3. So you can see here you can display the condition table. For access sequence, the T code is OMCX. So you can see this is for the access sequence here. Then for strategy types, the T code is OMCW. So you can see these are the strategy types. If you double click here, you will go to the details of the strategy type configuration. Then for batch search procedure, the T code is OMCY. So if you go there, you can see this is the batch search procedure against which we have assigned the strategy type here. Okay. Then finally, to assign this batch search procedure to the movement type and activating the batch check, the T code is OMCG. So you can see here you assign the movement type to your batch search procedure and you activate the batch check also. So we have discussed the full configuration. Now let's create the master data. That is, we'll create a batch class, a selection class, a sorting sequence. Then we'll create material code. We'll activate batch management and assign the batch class to that material. Then we'll maintain the condition record against the strategy types. And finally, we'll post goods receipts, and then we'll see how batch determination takes place during goods issue. So first of all, we'll create the batch class. So for that, we'll go to T code CL01. And you can see class type will be 023. And here we'll enter the class name. So let's enter Z batch here. And we'll press enter. And we'll give a description here. And here we'll enter the characteristics. So to add standard characteristics, we'll click here. And in the name, we have to enter LOBM star. And we'll press enter. And you can see these are the standard characteristics which are available for batch. So here first we'll select date of last goods receipt, that is LOBM underscore LWEDT. Again, we'll click here. And next we'll select expiration date shelf life. This is LOBM underscore VFDAT. So these are the standard characteristics which we are adding to this class that we'll assign to our material master. So let's save this class. So we have created this class. So we'll enter it here. Now in the next step, we have to create the selection class. So again, we'll go to CL01. And this time we'll give name as zbatch underscore SEL. We'll press enter. We'll give batch selection here. And in the characteristics, again, we'll enter the standard characteristics. So we'll enter here LOBM star. And the first characteristic that we'll add is remaining shelf life for batch. So we'll enter this LOBM underscore RLZ. Then again, we'll go to the search section and we'll enter expiration date shelf life, that is LOBM underscore VFDAT. And again, we'll go to the search section and we'll enter batch determination delivery date, that is LOBM underscore LFDAT. So these three characteristics we have added to the selection class. So let's save this. So we'll enter it here. Now since we have created the batch class and the selection class, the next step is to create the sorting rule. The T code is CU70. So we'll go to that T code now. So we'll go to CU70. And here we'll create sort sequence for all the three methods, that is FIFO, LIFO and FEFO. So let's enter a sort sequence number for FIFO. So we'll enter ZFIFO. We'll press enter and we'll give this a description, that is first in, first out. And we'll press enter. And you can see against this sort sequence also we have to add characteristics. So we'll click here and this sort sequence will be applied on the last goods receipt date. So we'll enter that characteristic here. So you can see this is that characteristic, that is date of last goods receipt. So we'll enter this and you can see we have to arrange this field on ascending manner. So we'll select ascending here and we'll save this sort sequence. So what we have done, we have added the characteristic of last goods receipt date and we have marked it as ascending. So system will sort on the last goods receipt date in ascending manner if we use this sort sequence. So we'll mention it here. Then we'll create for LIFO. We'll enter the description. We'll press enter and again we'll enter the characteristic. Same characteristic we'll enter again here, that is date of last goods receipt. And this time we'll select descending because we have to use the last in first out method. So this time the date of last goods receipt is to be sorted in descending manner and we'll save this. So let's mention it here. Finally, we'll create for ZFEFO, that is first expiry first out. And again we'll go to this characteristics and this time we have to enter the characteristic for shelf life expiration date. So let's enter that. So again we'll search and you can see this is that characteristic expiration date shelf life, that is LOBM underscore VFDAT. So we'll select this one and we have to sort it on ascending manner. So we'll select ascending here and we'll save this sort sequence. So let's mention this also. So we have created these three sort sequences. Then let's create the material now. So now let's create a material code. So we'll go to T code MM01 and we'll select these views. So whenever you will be creating a material code for batch determination, you have to make sure that you select this classification view, because then only you will be able to enter the batch class in the material master. So now we'll press enter. We'll enter plant code and the storage location. Now we'll enter description of this material. We'll enter unit of measurement and a material group. We'll press enter. Now here we'll have to enter the batch class in the classification view. So we'll enter the batch class that we created. So let's copy this batch class from here and we'll enter this batch class here and we'll press enter. So you can see system gives you these two characteristics that we saved in this batch class. Now here in the material master, we are not required to enter any values. System will add values to these characteristics when we'll post the goods receipt. So we'll keep these characteristics as blank in the material master. Then we'll go next. And in the purchasing view, we'll mark this batch management checkbox here to activate batch for this material. Then we'll press enter. And then in the plant data storage 1 view, we'll enter the minimum remaining shelf life here. So as we have discussed in our shelf life process video, that to activate shelf life for any material, you need to enter this minimum remaining shelf life in the material master. So let's enter 10 days here and let's save this material code. So you can see our material code has been created. So now let's enter this material code here. Now that we have created this material code, now we need to create the condition record for the strategy type for the combination of material code, plant and movement type. That is, when we'll post the goods issue, system has to determine the strategy type from the condition record that we'll save now. So let's create this condition record. So we'll go to T code MBC1 now. So we'll go to this T code. And here we'll have to enter the strategy type against which we want to create the condition record. So if we take a drop down, you can see these two condition records are there, which we saw in the configuration also. So we'll select ME01 and we'll press enter. Now you can see system gives you a list of all these condition tables here. As we saw, we entered a access sequence in this strategy type. That access sequence contains list of all these tables. And what these tables contain? They contain combination of various fields. So you can maintain the condition record for this strategy type against any of these tables. And as per the access sequence strategy, system will determine the condition record that is to be used for batch determination process. So for our current requirement, we'll maintain the strategy type against movement type, plant and material code. So we'll press enter here. We'll enter movement type as 201. We'll enter the plant and we'll enter the material code here. And we'll press enter. Now, as you would have seen, when we were discussing the configuration of the strategy type, we saw that we did not enter any selection class or sorting rule in that particular strategy type configuration. Let us just verify that. So we'll go to T code OMCW. And you can see this is the strategy type against which we are maintaining the condition record. If we open this strategy type, you can see we have kept the selection class and the sort sequence as blank here. So what we have to do, we have to maintain these two entities in the condition record. Because we have kept these entities as blank in our configuration, so whenever you will create the condition record, there you will have to maintain the selection class and the sort sequence. So let's maintain that in the condition record. So you can see here we are maintaining the condition record. So we'll have to click on selection criteria and here we'll have to enter the batch selection class. So let's enter the selection class. So we'll copy it from here. So this is the selection class that we created earlier. So let's enter this selection class here and let's press enter. And you can see now you have these two characteristics that we have entered in the selection class. So what is our requirement? Our requirement is that remaining shelf life for the batch should be greater than or equal to 30 days. So now this requirement will enter in this condition record here. So what we have to do, we have to enter greater than equal to 30 here. So you can see now we are telling the system that whenever this condition record is to be picked by the system, system has to first check that the remaining shelf life for the batch should be more than or equal to 30 days. So you can see we are maintaining condition record for this combination, that is movement type 201, plant and material combination. And what we are entering? We are entering the selection class here, and the criteria that we have entered is that remaining shelf life for batch should be greater than equal to 30 days. Now let's go next. And now what we have to do is we have to enter the sort sequence against this condition record also. So we'll have to click on sort here, and here we'll enter the sort rule that will actually decide on which basis the batches are to be sorted. So let's first enter the sort rule that is applicable for first in first out. So we'll copy that sort rule from here. So this is the sort rule that we created for first in first out. So let's copy it from here and we'll enter it here. And if we press enter, you can see we had entered this characteristic here, date of last goods receipt, and system has to arrange it in ascending manner. Okay, so now we have entered both the selection class and the sort sequence in this condition record. Let's save this condition record now. So now we have saved this condition record, and whenever we'll post a goods issue for this material, movement type and plant combination, system will pick this condition record and then system will determine the batches. So now let's do some goods receipt for this material and then we'll post goods issue and see how batch determination happens. So before doing the goods receipt, let's update here. So we have maintained the condition record for our sort sequence FIFO and the selection class for this material code. Now let's do the goods receipt. So for our current case, what we'll do is we'll do goods receipt without purchase order. So for that, let's go to MyGo and we'll select goods receipt other, and here we'll enter movement type as 501, and then here we'll enter our material code. Let's copy it from here and we'll enter our material code here and we'll press enter. Then let's say that we are receiving 10 quantities, so we'll enter 10 here. We'll enter the plant code and the storage location. And let's say that we are posting this goods receipt on 1st of August. So we'll change this posting date to 1st of August. And in the batch tab, let's enter the shelf life expiration date as 30th of August 2025. Okay. So we have entered the shelf life expiration date. The batch number will allow the system to internally assign. So we'll simply post this GR. So you can see we have posted the goods receipt. Now let's post the GR for some more quantity. So we'll enter the material code here. And let's enter 15 kgs here now. We'll enter the plant, the storage location. And this time we'll change the posting date to 5th of August. And in the batch tab, we'll enter the shelf life expiration date as 30th of September now. And we'll post this GR. So this time we have posted this GR with a different posting date and a different shelf life expiration date. Now let's post one more GR for this material. So we'll again enter the material code. We'll enter some quantity here. Let's enter 20 kgs. Then we'll enter the plant code and the storage location. And now in the batch tab, we'll enter shelf life expiration date as 30th of October. And we'll keep the posting date as 16th of August only. So now this GR we're posting with a different posting date and a different shelf life expiration date. So now let's post this document. So now we have posted 3 goods receipts with different posting date and shelf life expiration date. As this material was batch managed, so for all these GRs, system would have created the batches and assigned these fields to that batch master. Let's verify that. So to verify the material document that is posted, let's display this document. And if you go to the batch tab, you can see system has created this batch number for this material document. And if you click on the classification button here, you can see system has updated these characteristics in the batch class. Okay, so we assigned this batch class to the material master. There we did not enter any characteristics in the material master. When we posted the goods receipt, system automatically updated these characteristics from the material document. So these characteristics will be matched with the batch determination criteria to arrive at the batch during the goods issue process. So now if you want to verify the 3 batches that were created when we posted those 3 goods receipts, then we can go to T code BMBC. And let's enter material code here. And we'll enter the plant code. And if we execute, you can see system tells you that 3 batches have been found. So to see the list of the batches, you can click on this list button. And if you drag it here, you can see all these data are updated for all these 3 batches. So you can see these 3 batches were created when we posted the goods receipt. System saved the last goods receipt date and the shelf life expiry date. And based on these 2 dates only, system will do the batch determination when we will be posting the goods issue against these batches. Now system will calculate the remaining shelf life dynamically when you will be posting the goods issue. So now let's post the goods issue and see how system does the batch determination. Now, before posting the goods issue, let's verify the stock of this material also in the MMBE overview screen. So we'll open MMBE. And we'll execute. So you can see we have total of 45 kgs available for this material under these 3 batches. And the characteristics that are saved against these batches, you can verify in this BMBC output. And based on these characteristics only, system will determine which batch is to be picked while posting the goods issue. So now let's try to post the goods issue, and there we'll see how batch determination is done. So we'll go to MyGo. And we'll select goods issue other, and we'll enter movement type as 201. And we'll enter the material code here. And let's say that we want to issue 30 kgs against this material. So whenever we'll be issuing 30 kgs, system will have to divide that quantity among these 3 batches. So system will have to do the batch determination as per the strategy that we have entered in the condition record for this material, plant and movement type combination. So let's enter 30 kgs here. We'll enter the plant code here. Now you see the moment I enter plant code, the batch tab is activated here. So since batch data is available at plant level, so whenever you will enter the plant, then only system will give you this batch tab here. Now in this goods issue, we are not going to enter any batch. We are going to ask the system to determine the batch automatically through the batch determination process. And remember that for this material, plant and movement type combination, the condition record for the strategy type that we have saved is on FIFO basis. So let's first verify that. So we'll go to T code MBC3. And we had maintained condition record against this strategy type. So we'll press enter and we'll select this table. And for this movement type, plant and material combination, let's execute. So we have this condition record saved. If we select this and click on sort, you can see we have saved sort rule as ZFIFO, which contains this characteristic, that is date of last goods receipt, and system has to arrange this characteristic on ascending manner. Okay. So now let's again go to the MIGO screen. And if you come to the quantity tab, you can see you have an icon available here next to this quantity field. And this icon is for automatic batch determination. Now let's click on this icon. We'll click OK. And now you can see system has automatically determined 2 batches through which 30 kgs has to be posted. Now if we go to our BMBC screen, you can see we had 3 batches. But system has only picked 2 batches from here. And how system has sorted these batches? System has sorted these batches based on date of last goods receipt. And you can see here, this is this characteristic against which sorting has been done on ascending order. And what is this characteristic? This characteristic is the date of last goods receipt. You can see here, these 2 batches were selected by the system. And why this batch was not selected? This batch was not selected because of the selection criteria. And what was the selection criteria? The selection criteria was that the days to expire should be greater than or equal to 30 days. And the shelf life expiry date for this batch is 30th of August. And as per the current date, the remaining shelf life for this material is less than 30 days. Okay. So because of this, system has removed this batch from the automatic batch determination, and hence you are only seeing this batch number 260 and batch number 261 here. You can see here, and system has filled this 15 quantity from the available quantity in this batch. You can see here for this batch, the total quantity is 15. So system first filled this 15 quantity for goods issue, and then next 15 quantity from batch number 261. If we again go to the MIGO screen, you can see here we have 15 kgs in 260 and 15 kgs in 261. Now on this screen, you also have multiple information available. If you click on this classification button, you can see all these characteristics are listed here. So what are these characteristics? These are the batch class characteristics, that is date of last goods receipt and expiration date, shelf life. And currently the system is showing you the data for batch number 260. That is the first batch which was determined by the system. And then you can see these are the selection criteria, that is remaining shelf life for batch should be greater than 30 days. And based on this criteria, system calculated the expiration date, shelf life that should be greater than or equal to 15th of September 2025. So in this way, system lists out all the characteristics based on which system has done this batch determination. And if you want to go to the next batch, then you can click on this icon here. And you can see this is batch number 261, for which these are the characteristic values, and this is the selection criteria. Okay, so based on these characteristic value and this selection criteria, system has determined that which batches are to be selected and in which sequence the batches are to be arranged. Now let's click on this button here, strategy analysis. Here you can see how the search procedure was called, under which what was the strategy type, and against the strategy type what condition record was saved in the system. So you can see this is the search procedure which we maintained against the movement type. We maintained that for movement type 201, this search procedure is to be called. Let's just verify that. So we'll go to T code OMCG. And you can see here for movement type 201, we had maintained this batch search procedure. Under this batch search procedure, this strategy type was maintained. And for this strategy type, we had maintained this condition record. If we expand this, and you can see here for combination of movement type, plant, and this material, we had saved a condition record. And in that condition record, we saved the selection criteria and the sort sequence. Okay. Now, if you go back, and if we click on the log button here, you can see these are the logs which are created by the system. That is, batch stocks are being read, search according to selection criteria, availability check for batches, and finally batches are being sorted. If you want to see the detail, then you have to click on this line here and click on this expand button here. And you can see system read these 3 batches. Then system made the selection criteria and these 2 batches were selected. Now, if we click on this line and then click on expand button, you can see this batch 259 did not correspond to the selection criteria. That is, for this batch, the days to expire was less than 30 days, and hence this batch was not selected as per the selection criteria, and these 2 batches were selected by the system. So now we have discussed these 3 buttons. Now let's click on this strategy info. So here you can see the sort rule was ZFIFO, under which you had this characteristic, that is date of last goods receipt, and system has arranged this in ascending manner. Now let's click on the selection criteria, and here you can see the selection criteria which was saved in the system. So you can see system shows you every detail based on which system has picked these 2 batches for your posting purpose. And for posting these 2 batches, what we have to do, we have to click on copy button here. And you can see system will copy these 2 lines in your MIGO screen, and now you can post 15 kgs from each of these batches on FIFO basis. So this is how automatic batch determination happens when you post a goods issue. Now let's change this condition record, and this time we'll save the sort rule as last in first out, and then let's see how system determines the batches. So for that, we'll go to MBC2. and we'll press enter. And for this combination, we'll press enter. Then we'll execute. And in the sort sequence, we'll change the sort rule to ZLIFO. And we'll press enter. So you can see this time this characteristic, that is date of last goods receipt, will be arranged in descending manner. So let's save this condition record now. So what we have done, we have saved the condition record now for this sort sequence. So let's enter maintained here. And now let's post goods issue and see how system determines the batches. So again, we'll go to MyGo. We'll enter the material code here. We'll enter 30 kgs again. Then we'll enter the plant and the storage location. And again, we'll go to the quantity tab and click on this batch determination icon. And now you see system has sorted these batches on descending manner based on the date of last goods receipt. So you can see here the characteristic sorting is based on last goods receipt, and this time system has sorted this in descending manner. And you can see here system has filled 20 kgs against this batch because the total quantity which is available is 20 kgs. You can see available quantity is 20 kgs here, and the remaining 10 kgs that we have to post goods issue for, system has taken from this batch 260, which has available quantity of 15 kgs. So in this way, you can see this time system sorts the batches based on descending manner, and still you see batch number 259, that is this batch was not selected by the system. Why? Because we have the selection criteria still in place based on which system is not selecting that batch. And if we click on log here, and if we expand this, and then again, if we select this line and then again expand, you can see this batch number 259 was again not selected due to this selection criteria. Okay, so first system removed this batch number 259 and then sorted these two batches based on descending manner on their date of last goods receipt. So in this way, you can post goods issue based on LIFO basis, that is last in first out basis. Now let's change this condition record for the strategy type for FEFO basis, that is first expiry first out basis, and see how again system arranges these two batches for goods issue. So what we'll do again, we'll go to MBC2. And again, we'll go to this sort, and here we'll change this sort rule to ZFEFO. So you can see this time the characteristic is expiration date shelf life, and system has to sort this characteristic based on ascending manner. Okay, so let's save this condition record. So we have maintained this condition record now. And now let's post goods issue. So we'll go to MyGo. And we'll enter the material code here. We'll enter quantity is 30 again. We'll enter the plant code and the storage location. And again, we'll go to the quantity tab and click on this batch determination icon. And this time you see system has sorted based on the shelf life expiration date. You can see here this characteristic is on shelf life expiration date. If we go to the BMBC output, you can see system has taken this column into consideration. And again, system has selected these two batches only. This batch system has again excluded because of our selection criteria. So if you again go to the strategy info, you can see our sort rule was ZFEFO, where system has to sort this expiration date shelf life characteristic based on ascending manner. Okay. So in this way, we have tested all these three batch determination strategies. Now what we'll do, we'll create some custom strategy type, and there we'll maintain these selection class and sort rule, and then we'll see how system behaves. Okay. So let's do that now. So now let's create some custom strategy types. So we'll go to T code OMCW, and we'll select the standard strategy type and we'll click on copy. And let's enter the strategy type as ZE01. And here we'll enter the selection class. So let's enter the selection class here. So we'll copy it from here and we'll enter the selection class here. And here we'll enter the sort sequence. So let's say that we are creating this strategy type for FIFO basis. So we'll select this sort rule from here and we'll paste it here. And we'll change the description of the strategy type to FIFO. So if we again open this, now what we have done, we have created a strategy type specifically for FIFO basis, where we have entered this batch selection class and this sort sequence, and then we'll save this strategy type. Now let's create another strategy type for our LIFO basis. So we'll copy this, we'll enter the description, and we'll change it to ZE02. And this time we'll change this sort sequence to ZLIFO. As you can see here, we had created ZLIFO for last in first out sort sequence. So we'll maintain it here. We'll press enter and we'll save. So now what we have done, we have created these two strategy types specifically for first in first out and last in first out strategies. Now for any movement type, how we can trigger both of these strategy types. So to do that, we'll have to enter the strategy type in our batch search procedure, and then we'll assign that batch search procedure to our goods issue movement type. So let's create the batch search procedure first. So we'll go to OMCY and we'll select the standard procedure and we'll click on copy and we'll enter ZE0001 here. And we'll enter a name as custom search procedure. And we'll press enter. We'll click on copy all. And then we'll select this procedure and we'll double click on this control folder. And here what we have to do is we have to maintain our custom strategy type that we have created just now. So we'll remove the standard strategy type. And now we'll click on new entries and then we'll enter step 10 and we'll enter our custom strategy type here. So if you take a drop down, you can see these two custom strategy types we have just created now. So we'll select ZE01 first and then we'll enter step 20 and we'll enter ZE02 here and we'll press enter and we'll save this custom search procedure. So now we have created this search procedure containing these two strategy types. Now if you require this FEFO strategy type also, then you can create an additional strategy type also for first expiry first out and then add that strategy type to this search procedure that we are creating just now. So currently we have added these two strategy types. So we'll save this batch search procedure. Now that we have created this batch search procedure, to trigger this search procedure, we need to assign it to our movement type. So we'll go back and we'll enter T code OMCG. And here for movement type 201, we'll have to assign this new search procedure that we have created just now. So we'll take a drop down and you can see this search procedure is appearing here. We'll select this and we'll save this configuration. So now whenever we'll post the goods issue through movement type 201, this search procedure will be called by the system, which contains those two strategy types. So first of all, we'll have to maintain the condition record against any of that strategy type for the batch determination to happen. So let's do that. So we'll again go to MBC1 and this time we'll enter strategy type as ZE01 and we'll press enter. And again we'll maintain it against movement type, plant and our material combination. So we'll enter the material code here. And now if we click on selection criteria, you can see system automatically selects this selection class. Earlier we entered this selection class manually while maintaining the condition record. because we had not maintained the selection class in the configuration of the strategy type. But this time, since we have maintained this selection class in the strategy type, hence system is automatically giving me this output here. And we have to enter the selection criteria here. So we'll enter greater than equal to 30 days. Okay. Then we'll go next. And if we click on sort, here also you can see system has automatically defaulted this sort rule that we have maintained in the strategy type configuration. So now let's save this condition record. So for our material, this condition record has been saved. Now let's go to MyGo. We'll enter this material code here. We'll enter the quantity. We'll enter the plant code and the storage location. And again, we'll go to the quantity tab and click on this icon here. And you can see system has sorted based on the date of last goods receipt in ascending manner. And this time, if we click on the strategy analysis, you can see my search procedure is ZE0001. That is the custom search procedure that we had created, under which we have two strategy types. And first strategy type, system has found the condition record. Okay. And based on that condition record, system is proposing the batches. Okay. Now, if you maintain multiple condition records, then system will search from top to bottom and then will select the condition record which system finds first. So you can see for this ZE02 system tells you that access not made due to a previous access. So now let's say that we want to post on LIFO basis. Then what we need to do? We need to remove the condition record against this line and maintain condition record against this line. Then only system will be able to pick this strategy type while posting the goods issue. Okay, so we'll go back and we'll go to MBC2 first. And for this combination, we will remove this condition record here and we'll save. And again, we'll go to MBC1 and this time we'll enter strategy type as ZE02. We'll press enter. And here we'll enter the material code and we'll go to the selection criteria. And again, we'll enter the selection criteria here. Then we'll click on this next button and we'll click on sort. And in this particular condition record, you can see the sort rule is ZLIFO, that is last in first out, in which you have this characteristic which will be arranged in descending manner. That is date of last goods receipt will be arranged in descending manner. So now let's save this condition record. And now we'll post goods issue. So we'll go to MyGo again. We'll enter the material code here. We'll enter quantity as 30 again. And we'll enter the plant code here. And we'll go to this quantity tab and click on this batch determination icon. And this time you see system has sorted based on the date of last goods receipt in descending manner. And if we click on the strategy analysis, you can see this time for this condition type, that is the strategy type, the condition record was missing. That is, we deleted this condition record and we maintained the condition record against ZE02. And hence system picked this strategy type to determine the batches for posting the goods issue. Okay, so in this way, you can create your own strategy type, then create a batch search procedure and enter those strategy type in that batch search procedure, and then assign the batch search procedure to your goods issue movement type. Then as per your requirement, you will maintain the condition record against the custom strategy types based on which system will determine batches during goods issue. Now let me discuss one more thing here. Let's say that for a particular strategy type, you do not want system to trigger the selection criteria. That is, let's say for our current case, we want system to propose all the 3 batches despite their days to expire. So for that, we need to make some entries in the condition record. Let's see that. So we'll go to MBC2. And we'll change the condition record for this strategy type only, that is ZE02. So we'll press enter. We'll again press enter. We'll execute this condition record. And here you can see you have a column called selection type. So in this column, if you take a drop down, You can enter selection with no selection criteria if you want that the selection criteria should not be triggered for this particular condition record. That is, let's say that for a particular material code, you want all the batches to be proposed irrespective of their days to expire. So in that case, what you will do, when you will be maintaining the condition record for the strategy type for that material, plant and movement type combination, you have to select the selection type as selection with no selection criteria. Let's select this here and let's save this condition record now. And now we'll again perform the batch determination and let's see how system proposes the quantities there. So we'll go to MyGo again. We'll again enter the material code, the quantity, the plant code. We'll go to this quantity tab and click on this batch determination. And this time you see system proposes me all the 3 batches. Although system does not fill any quantity in this batch because of this sorting, that is system sorted based on last goods receipt, but system proposes me all the 3 batches this time. And this has happened because I have maintained the selection type with no selection criteria. Now let's maintain the same detail in our FIFO strategy type also. So let's go to MBC1. And we'll enter ZD01 here. We'll enter the material code and we'll select selection type as O here, that is selection with no selection criteria. And then we'll save this condition record. So now what we have done, we have excluded the selection criteria and we have maintained the condition record for FIFO basis also. So now let's go to MyGo. We'll enter the material code, quantity, and the plant code here. And in the quantity tab, we'll click on this icon. And this time you can see system has divided the quantity among all the 3 batches. So we have used the first in first out strategy and we have excluded the selection criteria. So system selected this batch also this time and it has total quantity of 10. So system first filled this batch with 10 quantity, then this batch with 15 quantity and remaining 5 quantity with this batch. And if you click on selection criteria, you will see system will not give you any selection criteria here. And why this is happening? Because in the condition record, we have marked the selection type as selection with no selection criteria. Okay, and because of that only, this batch also has been proposed by the system this time. So in this way, we discussed the whole automatic batch determination process. We discussed what all various strategies are there and how you need to do the configuration and then maintain the condition records so that system automatically proposes you the batch when you trigger the batch determination in the MIGO screen. Now, whenever these batches are proposed, to copy in the MIGO screen, you simply need to click on this copy button here. System will copy all these 3 lines and you can simply click on post and then system will post based on the strategy that you have defined in the system. So in this way, I have covered this whole concept. This was a long video. I hope that you have understood this concept and you have liked this video. If you like my videos, then please like and subscribe to my channel. I'll be posting more videos on SAP MM module. See you in the next video with another topic on SAP MM. Thank you so much for supporting me. Thanks a lot.